Right, numbers
Yeah,
36 6.
Salakia, just video cut by accident. We just continuing on it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Numbers 36 6. This is the thing which the Lord doth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry who they think is best, so that they have a choice in the matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? But only to the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry.
Go ahead.
Right, verse 7. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel be moved from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. Right? And I just want to go down to the
Was
point,
it?
verse 8. So like, and every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, the children of Israel. They enjoy every man the
The
inheritance
inheritance
of
of
his
his
fathers.
fathers.
Verse 9.
So it's verse 11 I really want to get to.
Yeah,
But
can
so
read
like I
down,
said,
read
like
down
I
to,
can read
read
down,
down
yeah.
to there.
Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance, even as Yahweh commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad. For Malah,
Just so. Just
sorry,
want to prove, get the point where the Lord commanded the children of Israel, right? Just so. See one of these. Alright, go ahead. Then I thought the footnote should have lead to that. Just
yeah,
nah, go ahead. My apologies.
right? Now verse 11 here, it's showing you they literally did exactly as they were told, right? For Mala, Tirzah, and Hoglah, and Milcah and Noah, and the daughters of Zelophehad were married unto their father's brothers' sons.
So the
So they
cousins.
chose, yeah, their cousins. So they chose who it is out of all their cousins they would have liked to marry, but it was what? Confined to the cousinship. You couldn't go outside of your own family who you were related to by blood. Right,
Right.
verse 12. And they were married into the families of the sons of Manasseh of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of the family of their father.
Right. So with the law being established here, we then like to go to this conversation I would have had with Gemini. Or rather, as you have it in the cross reference Bible here, when you go to Luke, let's get Matthew first. Matthew the first chapter. Right? This exact same law, right, played off with Joseph and Mary. Right, I'm gonna prove it. We did research using Gemini. Now we're gonna read the precepts here, right? I wanna get closer to the right, read 6.
They
Matthew
Matthew,
1 from 6. This is to highlight something very important here.
right?
Right? Go ahead.
And just to say, the heading here of this Matthew 1, chapter 1, the genealogy of Mashiach.
Right, go ahead.
Right, so we know we read in the house of Yahweh's fathers.
Oh, yeah.
Verse,
And we're going to the word genealogy.
the records.
Records.
Right. And Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon.
Solomon, right? David begat Solomon in Matthew 1 verse 6. Go ahead.
Of her that had been the wife of Uriah.
I go ahead.
And Solomon begat Rehoboam, and Rehoboam begat Abiah, and Abiah begat Asa, and Asa begat Josaphat, and Josaphat begat Joram, and Joram begat Ozias, and Ozias begat Jotham, and Jotham begat Achaz, and Achaz begat Ezekias, and Ezekias begat Manasseh, and Manasseh begat Ammon, and Ammon begat Josias, and Josias begat Jeconias, and his brethren, about the time they were carried away to Babylon.
Right.
And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconias begat Salathiel, and Salathiel begat Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel begat Abiud, and Abiud begat Eliakim, and Eliakim begat Azor, and Azor begat Sadok, and Sadok begat Achim, and Achim begat Eliod, and Eliod begat Eleazar, and Eleazar begat Matan, and Matan begat Jacob.
Jacob. So to highlight the points here, from verse 1 and 6, Matthew chapter 1 verse 6, Jesse begat David, David begat Solomon.
Right?
Then when it jumped down to 16, continued on the lineage, or 15, Mathan begat Jacob. Jacob then begat Joseph. Go ahead.
Right, verse 16, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushai, who is called Mashiach.
Go ahead.
So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David until the carrying away unto Babylon are 14 generations, and from the carrying away unto Babylon, into Babylon unto Mashiach are 14 generations.
Go ahead. Because another thing they called, which this is a different lesson for a different time, the husband of Mary, according to Jewish custom and Jewish law, as they were under the law here and following the law 30, when they read Luke the 3rd chapter, Mary followed the law 30, carrying Yahushua into the temple, right, after he was circumcised. He circumcised on the 8th day because he was a Jew, he was keeping the law.
Verse 19, I know that too. And Joseph, her husband, being a just man.
Being a just man, when they go into that word just, it means what? Lawful.
Right, lawful.
My thing is this, when it calls Joseph Mary's husband in verse 16, there's only one way that could have taken place according to Jewish custom and law, and that is through the act of sex.
And Matthew himself being a Jew writing this, of course he would know what he's writing.
Right. So if Matthew, a Jew, is writing about the Jews here and Joseph, he's calling Joseph Mary's husband, he could only call Joseph Mary's husband if Joseph had sex with Mary, and then when they finished had sex, well, they didn't do that here, right? He could not have presented the sheet proven or as Mary token of virginity, because if you read law down the way in which Matthew 1 is worded, it deceives you into believing they didn't get married. Because Joseph, the whole reason it called Joseph here a just man and not willing to make her a public example was married to put her away privily.
Verse 19.
Right, verse 19. It was because he had sex with her before they came together, meaning before the marriage ceremony take place, which Tobit had the marriage ceremony. Right? Tobit had the marriage ceremony. In Judges 13 or Judges 16, it made mention of what? The men, as the men of those days used to do, meaning what? They used to have marriage ceremonies, right? Joseph went and popped Mary before the marriage ceremony took place, and Mary's belly was beginning to get bigger, so it would have been evident that she would have had sex. But all of the people around her would have been asking the question, hold on, you're exposed to Joseph, why are you pregnant? Question would have been
that, she would have been in her father's house as well.
Exactly.
So a whole
lot of things would have taken place that Joseph didn't want to take place. That is why he was sitting there and saying he's minded to put her away privily, because Mary could have actually have lost her life. But they made mention of Joseph being a what?
A just man.
Right. So that is just one part of the aspect of the virgin birth. The fact that he was even called her husband disproves the virgin birth. Right. So that is not what we're getting into here, right? Because disproving the virgin birth before we get into this, but we're just gonna prove that Joseph played the role of what? Kinsman redeemer.
Which
so this
would
is
in turn disprove the virgin birth.
which will in disprove the virgin birth. Beautiful. So from here, we're gonna go to Luke the 3rd chapter.
Start from 23 or
23, straight to the point.
okay.
Because we're gonna read the footnotes, right? We're gonna read Luke 23, then we're gonna read the footnote here.
23?
3.
Luke 3 and 23.
Yeah, so read it.
Read this and then read the
Footnotes.
And Salak, just the heading here, the genealogy of Yahushai, Matthew 1, the genealogy of Christ. So we do the records, it's the same record again.
But she can have a genealogy if seed wasn't involved.
Fathers, the genealogy is counted by the fathers.
Which look at the whole commotion the woman stirred up in. Well, not commotion, but they brought up a valid point to Moses. Look at they went through all of that, and a law was annexed, as they say, into the law or into the five books of Moses, just for that instance, for all of that to be thrown out of the window here.
Because Gabriel or Michael had proceeded.
Come on, that not making no sense. Come on. Let me be real here, people. Let me be real. Go ahead.
Okay, so here is Luke 3 and 23. and the Yahusha himself began to be about 30 years of age, being as was supposed.
As was what?
Supposed.
Why was he supposed to be the son of Joseph?
Because Joseph is supposed to be his father,
How?
because he's in the lineage for a multitude of reasons.
And why? Beautiful that to say a multitude of reasons. He couldn't have right to the throne if Joseph wasn't his father.
Exactly.
That one
The
made
promise
mention.
to David
The promise to
is
David
not
through who?
valid if Yahusha is not related to David. And he couldn't be related to David if Gabriel or Michael, whichever angel you want to say, is his father.
As I say relation, because would I like to tie the relation to
So,
David through Mary, which would are going to point out some nonsense here, right? It have some good points in the footnotes here, right? But related to David through who? Solomon. Because David had sons as well who didn't fit the king in the lineage. Solomon, the king in the lineage, continued through Solomon, Rehoboam, Abijah, all the way down to Jeconiah, right? All the way down to, I believe the last king was Jeconiah, before we went into Babylon.
Yeah.
And he had to continue on through that lineage, through the seed, otherwise he would not have right to the throne, right? Here now, they're trying to tie his right to the throne through Mary. He cannot do that because Mary, for one, is a woman.
And for two,
For
she's
two,
not even of the king.
she's not from the king. She's from the king lineage in terms of being related to David.
But no, I say that I mean like the line.
Exactly, the
Because the
specific,
scripture also say
specific
that
line of Solomon. She didn't descend. She didn't descend.
that was his name Rehoboam.
Rehoboam, yeah.
However, I say name Salakia. He had many sons, but he still chose which one of his.
Abijah. He chose Abijah. I believe
to be the king.
first, Second Chronicles 6.
Second
I think
David's sons, Salakia, not to cut you off, Salakia. David's sons are perfect example of this. Who's David's first son? A lot of people probably don't know. Chileab. Who is he? Nothing was written about him after beyond what? The fact that he was David's son. Why? Because he not important to the story of the kings. Right? Why it is in our followed Chileab lineage.
They
Why it
didn't
is
even follow Nathan. The only time they followed Nathan here was
to
telling
point out this.
to point out this here.
Beyond that, you're not seeing record of any stories about these fellas. Why? Because they're not important to the point of the king being raised up. Because let's wait a low I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me. Why would you write about Nathan? Why would you write about why you write about Absalom or any other David's sons if it was not of him? Right? It was not written, them had nothing to do with it being written of him. Because what the promises were not descended through them. The blessing of the nation of Israel. Abraham had 2 sons. He had more than 2 sons. Ishmael, Isaac.
They don't follow Ishmael's story after he was casted away. Why? Because the promise was descended through
Isaac, and Isaac shall I see be called. An next example.
I said not Genesis, Galatians 3. Galatians 3.
And next example, Isaac 2 sons themselves, Jacob and Esau. Who was the promise then followed through, and who do you see the story then being continued through? It went from it being promised to Jacob supplanting the blessing from Esau, then supplanting the birthright. So he birthright, then he blessing, and then you see what? Then you see Jacob start to make children, and them children start to make children, and then we get Exodus 1, right? The Hebrews. Talking about who? The descendants of Jacob's children. Right? Showing you what? If it's not talking about them, they're not being mentioned.
God, I went on to make 2. Adam had many sons and daughters, and they only follow Seth. Seth had many sons and daughters, they only follow Enos. Enos had many sons and daughters, and they continue to only follow the ones that call upon the name of the Lord.
The ones who mattered.
Exactly. So, but the rest of me don't give a fuck about them. I just wanted to go into the word was supposed. Because it says, and Yahusha himself began to be about 30 years of age, being as was supposed.
Luke 3:23, yeah.
This is G 35:43. Nomidso.
Nomidso, yeah.
Nomidso. Their definition: one, to hold by custom or usage, as a custom or usage to follow a custom or usage. going to the Strongs, it says anything established which is nomos, anything established, anything received by usage, a custom, a law,
A law.
a command.
Which law? See what you go down of the Mosaic law.
Of the Mosaic law.
Referring according to the context, either to the volume of the law or to its contents. Right?
According to the law of Moses, Yahushua was the son of Joseph.
Which law is that? Leviticus 12.
Even Numbers 1 again, the house of his fathers.
But Leviticus 12:1 says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived what? Seed, and born a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days according to the days of separation for her infirmity. She shall be unclean, and in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So, in order for the 3rd verse to take place, verse 1 and 2 must take place. Yahushua partook of the 3rd verse.
He was circumcised.
He was circumcised, right?
Day of his life.
Why? Because he was conceived in Mary's womb, and he could only conceive what?
Seed.
Continuing on, and she shall then continue in the blood of a purifying 3 until 2 days.
To the 3 days.
To the 3 days she shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. Right? So my thing is this: did Mary go through this?
Yes.
Did Yahweh? Why would she go through this?
Because that is Joseph's seed. That's the only way.
Then just back she going through this here. It's 2.
7.
2 and 7. Luke 2
So
and
read from 6.
Luke 2 from verse 6. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished. What days?
The days of
See the
footnotes.
Just now. Let me just get it in the
Yeah,
cross reference. Yeah. The cross reference should give it. Luke 2 and 7. 6. It says, and so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. And they were in the same country. I just want to get the point. I want to get the point
where you were circumcised.
Yeah. And she went into the temple.
See if I get it carefully.
21.
Luke 2 and 21, right? It says, and when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Yahushua.
Which, so like, remember, it gave a full story here, but in Matthew chapter 1 it said what? And his name, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua. So you know what that Matthew chapter 1 even went into before all of this even happened. The angel delivering a prophecy unto Mary.
And then it skipped all of this, and this went when the child was born, they called him Yahushua.
Which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. Which conceive
seed, yeah.
Right.
And the Leviticus 12. The footnote 12.
Right. Look of it. And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, my thing is this: why would she need to be purified if she didn't conceive seed? Because she would need to be purified from the seed. Why? Because seed makes her unclean. My thing is this: why is she going through all of this if she never had sex?
That is a good question.
How could the Yahushua be according to the law of Moses? Because you can't skip part of the law and then fulfill the rest.
Yes, and why would you need to? If you skip one part, where's the point for the rest?
The fact that the Yahushua was circumcised proved that Mary fulfilled Leviticus 1 till 6. That was Leviticus 1 to 2 in order for him to be circumcised according to Leviticus 12 and 3. So Leviticus 12, 1 to 2 needs to happen in order for you to fulfill Leviticus 12 and 3. Otherwise, come on.
It don't make no sense.
It says, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed, in order for she to go through Luke 2 and 22, she had to conceive seed.
Keep reading in the footnotes.
And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord,
Keep going.
as it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord.
Verse 24.
and to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or
For
two.
young pigeons.
Exactly. Come on. Why is it? Why are they going through all of this? Right. So now
Zach, I
let's
just
read.
want to read the law where it said, Leviticus 12 and 6, and when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest. What she now doing? Now bring the turtle dove?
Exactly. Right. So let's go here. Luke 3 and 23. Just read it. Let's go into the real father of Joseph was Jacob, as we highlighted in Matthew 1 and 16. But having married the daughter of Heli, which the only way he could marry someone according to Jewish law and custom is by having sex with her and being perhaps adopted, not being perhaps. He wasn't adopted per se and he became his son. No, he continued his lineage according to Numbers 27 and Numbers 36 and Deuteronomy 25. And according to the happenings of Genesis 38,
Joseph played kinsman redeemer. He continued that man's line.
Ruth and Joshua 17. He was called his son, and as such was entered in the public registers, as Israel kept everything on record on wax. The fact that right, that's why I wanted the root prologue, because it says that.
Just now to what I about
bring it back. Yeah, because I was trying to remember why I wanted the root prologue. The root prologue proves that
records were kept on wax.
Samuel kept the records of David on wax. So when you go into the prologue of Ruth here,
the author?
You go to author.
Right. Although the author of Ruth is not given anywhere in the book, tradition has attributed its writing to Samuel. The prophet Samuel may have written Ruth shortly after he anointed David as king to attest to the obscure young man's right to the throne.
Which David's right to the throne would have been through what at that time? Yahushua's right to the throne would have been him descending from David through Solomon, ultimately through Joseph. But David's right to the throne at the time would have been what? Through him descending through a Judite. Through Judah, as the Lord had made Judah what the head tribe. So Samuel kept the book of Ruth on wax to prove that David descended from Boaz, who was a Judite. Come on. Why are we going through all of this for you to come and tell me Gabriel and
Michael?
Come on. No disrespect to the angels, but that no disrespect to the angels, but you're disrespecting the angels.
And they blaspheme everything that is called God, or everything that is worshipped, or anything that is in heaven. This is one of the ways of doing it, by putting them into a story that they have no business being a part of.
Other than the
message part, and the prophecy part.
Yeah. But the conceiving
part, them are nothing to do with that. Yeah, which I say don't even mouth them are nothing to do with that.
Exactly. So let's go.
They need a married, no given into marriage.
Matthew 23 and 20.
Yeah.
Right. So continuing.
Adopted by him.
The public register says
right.
Mary not being mentioned. Why is Mary not mentioned? Because women don't carry on. When you look through if you look to the Chronicles, as they would have linked the Chronicles, the first Chronicles 2 of the lineage of Manasseh, the women are listed.
I was now going to say that I would like to bet that if you then go into these 5 daughters, right, who was their father against Zelophehad, if you were to go to the ancient records of Zelophehad as it was being written, after you would have written Zelophehad's name, you would have then written the sons that those women would have been. Because those men were the ones who would have been tasked with continuing Zelophehad's name in the tribe of Manasseh.
Proof of that? Ruth. When you're writing David's lineage,
you don't put
Ruth. You don't put Ruth, put the men, as we just read. No, as we're not distributing the fact that women's name are mentioned, or some women's name are mentioned, but who continues the lineage? Is every single woman name mentioned?
No.
Case in
Exactly.
point, take the book of Chronicles.
Yeah, but I'm not going to Chronicles.
Go
Yeah.
to Chronicles, okay.
Go to see if I could get the arms off the arms.
Is here looking for self. Israel's descendants are Judah, David's family. Let's see if I can get that. Levi's lineage, Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh are the sons of Reuben. Let's see. The half tribe of Manasseh and the children of Bashan, Jeremiah. No. Levi's descendants. What would be the next tribe?
Let me see if I get it in when I go to the footnotes here. Numbers 27:1. First
Look at
Chronicles
here. I
7.
think it's look at here.
First Chronicles 7.
7 years. The next, because when it's a half tribe, I know that I'll be doing
Yeah.
East Manasseh before they cross Jordan, but
Yeah.
you know they make mention that it's after they cross Jordan they bring up this problem. Or before they was about to cross it. So we see Naphtali, right? The sons of Manasseh, Ashriel, whom she bare, but his concubine, the Aramites, bare Machir, the father of Gilead, and Machir took to wife the sister of Hupim and Shupim.
First Chronicles 7 and 15.
15. Whose sister's name was Maacah, and the name of the second was Zelophehad. And Zelophehad had daughters, and Maacah, the wife of Machir, bare a son, and she called his name Peresh, and the name of his brother was Sheresh, and his sons were Ulam. Right, so after the list Zelophehad, it then don't go on to say who were the children of the daughters, right? But if you was to write Zelophehad's lineage, you would then what? You would have to list the sons, the firstborn sons of those daughters. Why? Because they would have been the ones who would have been tasked with what? Continuing the lineage of Zelophehad. Right, so that was the point I wanted to make, was that even if this not written, if you have to write this man's lineage, you're not gonna write it and continue talking about the daughters. Why? Because women don't carry seed. Right? Go ahead.
Right. So go back here to the Luke, the 3rd chapter. So back to the Luke, the 3rd chapter. I'm reading the footnote in the 23rd verse. Right. It says, Mary not being mentioned because the Hebrews, by law, by right, by customs, by the way in which the Lord designed things,
The word, but I just went into it with Yahweh Shai
suppose,
was supposed, right?
right, never permitted the name of a woman to enter the genealogical tables. Why? Because they don't carry on the genes.
Proof that Zelophehad, if you had to speak about the continuing of the lineage, his daughters would have not been mentioned.
Yeah, because they know they couldn't. They also said we would have been destitute. Right. But inserted her husband as a son of him who was. That is in the case if he had no sons.
Right.
The reason they inserted Joseph, as we mentioned before, Joseph was supposed to carry on the lineage of Heli. And this is proof that Mary would have been a Judite as well, because who Mary was supposed to marry? Next or closest kin.
In your family.
In the family, which they were of the family of who? Judah. Directly tracing back, if you want to trace it back to someone, would have been who? From David through Nathan.
Right? All Judites.
Right. Hence, but inserted her husband as a son of him who was, in reality, but his father-in-law. Hence, it appears that Matthew, who wrote principally for the Jews, why? Because this book was to the Jews, raise up the tent of Judah first, and the Jews was built on what? The Apostle Paul said that what advantage then had the Jew over the Greek, right? Because unto them were committed what? The oracles of power. So this was written according to the law. Matthew wrote Matthew chapter 1 according to the law. And it's the reason that could prove that Mary and Joseph would have had to have been what? Husband and wife. And they would have had to have what? Sex. Because if that was written according to the law and that didn't take place and they couldn't prove that,
then that would not be written.
Mary would have died. Mary would have been put to death. How are you pregnant and you're espoused to me? Because Deuteronomy 22, if a woman is espoused to a man and someone else has sex with her, that is adultery as well.
To prove the point too that you have been put to death, the Pharisees and scribes was looking to put
another woman to death for adultery.
and Yahweh Shai stopped them.
proving the law was still in effect.
So look at how quick them look to kill Sheba, nobody look to stone Mary. I find that making sense.
Which is our next point you had to ask too. Why Joseph and raise a fuss?
That Joseph was a
Why?
just man
Yeah,
and
you
he
think
just sing to do
Joseph-
his stone she to death.
Joseph is a just man. Man of the Lord. Just man mean man of the Lord.
And he chip off.
And he say no, I want
He ain't saying nothing because he knows he see inside a
exactly.
civil.
That's why he says he was a just man. He wanted to push it away privately to avoid any
The
commotion.
noise, I forget the noise.
Exactly. And another thing, proof that men would have been all throughout scripture, men ask questions, you know. David asked the Lord if he should go up to Ram or to go up to fight against the Philistines. The Lord told him yes. The he-man was still afraid. Saying, nah, the Philistines, yes, the Philistines, that. David went and inquired again. The Lord gave him the same answer. Yes, thou shalt go up to the Philistines and thou shalt prevail. Matthew, 1 Samuel, the 23rd chapter. So the Lord tell him yes, and he still went and asked again. David, well, not David, but Peter, David, yeah. Peter, in the book of Acts, the 10th chapter, when the Lord spread the garment in front of him with all those unclean beasts, he tell them, arise, kill, slay, and eat, and he was in a trance. What Peter tell him, Lord, I have never eaten anything unclean before in my life. I'm not going to eat this. No, it was a trance, it was a similitude to represent the Gentile Israelites. But my thing is this, why when Peter denied him, he brought up the law as an excuse as to why he's not going to eat anything unclean? Because the law was still, it's still in effect today, but they were heavily under the law at that time. So if Joseph saying down and seeing his wife pregnant with something that is not his,
And stones are available.
what would happen?
What stop him?
What's up him?
That would be the question. But because you go carry it in the vibes or the spirits jam it
Yeah,
out
you know,
because,
yeah.
because he not taking that.
Nobody taking
Nobody
it.
taking
Let
it.
me
Nobody
read the
leave
what
it.
the what
It
I
never
read.
happened before, during, and it ain't happen after.
The what I read was some of Solomon, the scripture said, no man cometh inside, no king cometh into the world by any other
Yeah,
means.
no other king had any other beginning to life. So
Exactly.
what you telling me?
Joseph head ain't shaking.
And Joseph being of the kingly line. If any man in Israel was to stake a claim to that throne, it would be Joseph or one of his sons.
Exactly.
So he was literally a king walking as a sort princes walking as servants in the being them everyone in under servitude to the Romans, John 11:48. So the men would have literally had direct claim to the throne, literally ain't coming to life any other way.
And you coming to tell me this, sir?
That madness.
So let's continue on. It says, hence it appears that Matthew, who wrote principally for the Jews, traces the pedigree of Yahushua with the pedigree. The lineage numbers 1 to 4, jump down to 18 to 20.
According to their pedigrees.
From Hamashiach of Yahushua from Abraham, through whom the promises were given to the Jews, to David, so Abraham to David, and from David through the line of who? Solomon. Yahushua couldn't have any other claim to the throne unless he descended through Solomon's seed back one way or another, or descended from Solomon's seed back to Rehoboam's seed back to Abijah, continuing on.
No anxiety.
Jacob, the father of Joseph, right? The reputed or legal father of Hamashiach. Legal meaning what?
According to the law.
How was he Yahushua's father according to the law? Because he deposited seed in Mary. That's the only way. All through the law, man was only accounted according to somebody or descendant from someone lineage through the seed back.
And people still agree with this to this day. If you with a girl and you find out she's fucking on your head, the first thing is that child
that
mine?
child is not mine.
Exactly. It says, and that Luke, who wrote for the Gentiles, extends his genealogy upwards from from Heli, the father of Mary, which that was put there to highlight that Joseph redeemed that lineage.
The house of
He
Eli.
couldn't descend from two different men. That's impossible.
Gone.
Through the line of Nathan to David, and proven that they would have been what connected through the Judite line, because Mary couldn't redeem Eli's line unless he was of the lineage of Joseph. Of the lineage of David, which is beautiful that they show the nearest of kin. The nearest of kin in that situation would literally have been Joseph, because Nathan and Solomon is brothers, so their descendants would be what? Cousins. Continuing.
From David to Abraham.
So like disapprove, just like how we read in the Numbers 36. That Mary, not Mary, the five daughters
That's
had to
what
look
it's what? The
had
father's
brothers, sons.
The
This
cousins.
thus proving that what Joseph and Mary was cousins. Look it up. This is known information in here.
Look, Isaac went to Rebecca, them was cousins.
Continuing on.
Jacob, Rachel, and Leah.
Yeah,
Jacob,
cousins.
Rachel, and Leah were cousins.
Mm.
Continuing on, it says, through the line of Nathan to David, and from David to Abraham, and from Abraham back to Adam, who was the immediate son of power by creation, and to whom the promise of salvation was given.
Promise of the Savior.
Promise of the Savior was given in behalf of him and all his posterity. So what? All the ones descended from Adam's seed back all the way down to Yahushua, which tracks it through who? If you go all the way down,
No, keep reading.
it tracks it from Seth, right? Adam to Seth to Enos, right? So continuing here, it says,
The two branches.
the two branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two branches of descent from David by Solomon and Nathan, being thus united in the persons of Mary and Joseph.
Which is not Mary and Joseph, it's just Joseph.
Yahushua, the son of Mary, reunited in himself all the blood, privileges, and rights of the whole family of David, in consequence of which he is emphatically called the son of David. Which he's emphatically called the son of David.
Because he literally is the son of David.
That is one. That's at different heights. But then again, he literally descended from David, as it could be reckoned of being someone's son if he descended from their lineage. Case in point,
they called Jacob Abraham's son.
That, and you could use even with the heathens, this was highlighted, Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar. They just called Belshazzar Nebuchadnezzar's son, but when they do your research, Nebuchadnezzar is actually his grandfather.
When like your grandfather never walk up to you and say, "Hey son,
come on."
Like you never call a grandfather father.
You can't say answer me, my grandchildren, my sons. All Jacob and Joseph sons literally get called Jacob's sons.
Jacob literally say, these are my sons.
Yeah, literally Jacob. Let me see if we can close with that.
Yeah.
Jacob literally called out two and next man.
These are mine or something. So.
Genesis
44.
Genesis 48 and
it's 48.
And I read from
If we get to the point
5. The Genesis okay, I read from 4. The Genesis
48
and 4.
Yeah, what Jacob said.
And said unto me, so I read from 3. And Jacob said unto Joseph, Power Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me.
I think that upon Genesis 32, ladder descended from heaven. Jacob said he saw spirits going up and down in the ladder, and he saw power standing at the top of the ladder.
No, it's 35.
35.
10.
Salak, 35.
Yeah, because they 35:10 because and he said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and will make thee a multitude of people.
Passing the blessing of Abraham to a specific seed.
Exactly. And will give thee the land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. Yeah, that was Genesis 35.
I will give this land. You
So
said the land of Canaan.
the
land of Canaan at the time they passed through there, right?
And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee.
Unto Joseph. Go ahead.
In the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine.
My child.
And Joseph would have said something? No.
And what? And he said what?
Go ahead.
As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine.
So just like how Reuben and Simeon is his first two sons, Jacob literally said, hey, your sons you make Ephraim and Manasseh, they are my sons as well. So it's not hard for this one Eli to call Joseph his son. It's not hard. It's not hard for you to say Yahushua is David's son. Exactly. He's literally a descendant from David. Literally.
True seed.
Literally, if you don't understand the heights, he's literally David's son.
And we have to look at it like this. If it wasn't done like this, right, Yahushua could have no claim to the throne. Because if it was an angel impregnated Mary, let's say that even possible, which it's not. Think about it.
What do you mean?
There's no one named Gabriel, and even if it had a guy named Gabriel, that Gabriel is still not of David's lineage.
Right, yeah.
So the Lord, David, I love to use David is the perfect example in my opinion. Without David, David is the perfect reason as to why the virgin birth cannot exist. Because if David, the promise of David is not fulfilled, right, Yahushua could have no claim to the throne if he doesn't descend from David, which he did.
We still fucked.
Yeah, we still fucked. We wasting the time here. We wasting the time.
Shall I not rebuild the tabernacle of David that is fallen? It did not say he shall sit on the throne of David his father. That is what by Luke 1.
Luke 1 and 35.
Come now, man.
I will give him the throne of his father David. Or Luke 1 from 72.
Go down.
So come on. We be waiting here forever if that is literally, if that didn't happen.
If it's a man who's not related to David, if it's a man who's not related to David, he literally gonna show up back here on earth and have no right to nothing he gonna get on it. That don't make no sense. And pertaining to the law, you can't do that. In Genesis 48 and 6 in GNT, if you have any more sons, they will not be considered mine. The inheritance they will get will come through Ephraim and Manasseh, which Ephraim and Manasseh couldn't get any inheritance unless they were what? Of the lineage of Jacob. That is why he took Joseph's 2 sons.
You see?
That is why.
So Lord will, this video is edifying to the elect. In closing, we like to sing Hallelujah, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great men, so ensure you do real well. And as always, we like to say Shalom to the elect. This was a 3 brothers from the house of Yahushai. I'm the brother
Hanan. I'm the brother Marshall.
And I'm the brother Isaiah, saying Shalom. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.